15 years. First of all, consistency is everything in this world, especially in the creative world. So I want to know what drives you. 15 years is a long time. It's going to ebb and flow. What keeps you moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I started this website after a breakup coming out of college, and I was really depressed, and I was also trying to come out, and I needed somewhere to focus my energies. I needed to have everything that happened to me be turned into something positive. The other piece of it, and something that I learned along the way, was that there are really no unique human experiences. We've all gone through similar things, and the things that were happening to me were not unique in any way. So if I could share what I was learning while going on this journey with other people, I sort of felt that was a win. It started with just sort of writing personal essays, and then I started sharing some poetry that I'd written. Poetry is like my first great love. I started writing that in high school and middle school, when you're awkward.
Angsty.
Very angsty, very angsty, dark poetry.
Right.
And then, the website is sort of built around the things that I am really passionate about. I'm passionate about writing. I'm passionate about literature. Movie reviews came later, photography, and then just trying to keep up with trends of where people are. Podcasting and video work came later, but it has always been about having a two-way conversation with people, letting them know that the things that are happening to them are not unique and they are not alone.
Well, and we're going to talk about this major theme a little later in the interview, but what you're basically saying, which is what I think is so important, is because you're sharing your experience with others that also have it, you're building community around that. People see each other then. And that's what you've been doing for 15 years. When you called me and said, first of all, that 15 years was so important to you, that you wanted to do an in-depth interview about it, there was a gravitas to that conversation. There was this important, you place such importance on it, which I think, listen, if we don't have a little bit of a healthy ego, being creativity, you shouldn't be in the game, right? But I want to talk about, why is it so important? Why is there weight to this at this point in your life?
Well, I think a couple things. One, I think at this point in human history, with like the sort of influx of artificial intelligence in our lives, the way social media sort of like suppresses creativity, and God help you if you have a link that clicks out to an external website, no one's going to find you.
Right.
The search engines are not optimized to like find people who do creative work. It's to give you quick answers and have you move on with your life. So I wanted to pause and say, like, now more than ever, it's important for creative people to find a space and to amplify their work, because we need you. We need you more than ever. I also realized, like, this is an important milestone for me, because, when I started doing this back in 2009, 2010, there were a lot of people, a lot of my friends who were writing and sharing their experiences, and no one that I know is doing that work anymore. And I've chosen to take it just from a blog and build it into a website. And I think this is a moment to like pause and reflect and look back on everything that's happened over the last 15 years. It's also a moment to look toward the future and invite people to come along with me on this journey.
I like to tell people that I consider you my Renaissance man friend.
Sure.
Like you, man friend. I love that phrase. Because you do, it's like, for me, I have my wheelhouses. Your wheelhouses, there's so many of it. But I want to rewind and talk about when that moment in your life was, be it a book, be it a movie, be it a play or poetry. When was that first moment that you're like, these art forms like shake me and I need this in my life?
Yeah, I mean, there have been, we've talked about this in the past. There have been a number of movies that have like really shaped me and got me really excited. And there's been wonderful books that I've read over the course of my life that I just really frankly make me jealous that I didn't write it.
Right.
And, I talked about Into the Wild a lot as a movie that is sort of foundational to my life. To Kill a Mockingbird is a foundational piece of work. I think there's a lot of poetry out there that I've interacted with that has gotten me really excited. And so I think there was, a healthy jealousy there of, I see what these creators, these authors are doing. They are trying to tell a fuller story and trying to tell a broader story about the human experience. And I think I have a line or verse or stories that I can add to that human experience. And I think there have been a lot of powerful moments over the course of this website and this journey of creativity. I think people really rallied around me in the beginning because they understood that, I was going through a really hard time mentally. I was living in Oklahoma at the time.
It's a hard time.
I did not see myself in the flag of Oklahoma anymore. I'm liberal, I'm agnostic, I am gay, like none of those things were working really well. So it was time to go, and people were watching me work through that. I think, coming out was another big journey on the website where people were really connecting, and I was really finding an audience. And then about 10 years ago, my youngest brother died by suicide, and that unleashed a lot of creativity around mental health and taking care of yourself during traumatic experiences. And then I think that's final evolution is sort of the thing that I'm wrestling with now, is sort of thinking through my own mortality.
Right.
I'm 41. I've just told my age out loud. I am 41, and I am trying to wrestle with knowing that I'm on the back half of my life, and there's still a lot of things that I want to get done. How do I do that in a really healthy way? And so I think people have connected with each one of those milestones, and hopefully they have found something that really enriched their experience.
Well, I think you nailed, so as you're talking, there's words that resonate with me. I'm a word man. I think they're powerful. And you said a word that I was thinking, and I think that's the key, which is evolution. Everything that happens to us in our lives, big or small, helps us to evolve. And I think what has made you be able to keep this going for 15 years, in my opinion, is that we get to watch your evolution, because it changes. Like you said, you found that you no longer fit into the puzzle piece that Oklahoma was, but you didn't know that prior to that, and evolution is part of life. So I want to go to, all of us have our favorite movies, we have a favorite book, we have all of these things. Not all of us take it step two.
Yeah.
Not all of us decide, I need to talk about what this made me think and feel. First of all, when did that hit you, and why?
Well, I think it's really, really important as you begin a creative journey, and that can be anything. Choosing to write, choosing to make videos, choosing to do a podcast, paint, whatever it might be. You must begin all of those endeavors for yourself first.
Yeah.
And I am my first audience.
Right.
And in that process of creativity, something within inside me and those of us who choose to share find a point where it is, you go, I think someone else would appreciate this and would find value in it.
Right.
And hopefully it would bring them joy, or it would make them smile, or it would help them through a really rough time. So it began with trying to create for myself, and then it evolved into, can I do this for other people?
Right.
Now, when I write things or I create things, I'm not really concerned with how the audience is going to react, because again, I start for me.
Right.
And
it's not about the optics.
Not at all. And I hope the person that finds it, needs it when they need it.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm fine.
I also feel like we have similarities. And so I feel like sometimes I totally understand you. And part of it is when you're a creative person who is a thoughtful person who, when you look at an art form, no matter what it is, that it is impossible to just keep it inside. Like you want to talk about it, you want to grow it. But it's not always easy. And I want to talk about, as we got ready for this, we would like shoot questions back and forth and kind of get an idea for what this is. And you said a word that is a trigger word for me, but very important, which is, do you still, after all this time, feel vulnerable when you create something and then let it into the world?
Yes, and I want to hear your answer to that question.
Right.
For sure. I mean, I think there are certain levels of vulnerability around some of the things I create.
Right.
You know, in an essay, if I'm going to get very personal, there are moments when I go, I don't know if I should hit publish. And there have been pieces in my life where I've sat on for a while, not knowing if it was the right time. There have also been times when I've waded out into the waters of a larger political conversation, worried about how people were going to react.
Right.
You know, most of the people who follow me still live back in Oklahoma. Yeah. And so, I remember writing this essay called I Was Born a Man. And the whole conversation was around trans rights and knowing that, you know, I am very comfortable in the skin that I was born into. Right. I understand my gender. I am proud of my gender. Right. But I cannot imagine what it was like growing up, not knowing and feeling confused and knowing that you were in the wrong skin. Yeah. When I press publish on something like that, I'm a little worried of how people are going to react. I'm worried that my comments are going to blow up in really disgusting ways. Right. But sometimes you just got to let it go. I mean, I wrote an essay about my relationship with my partner called In Love, and I was really talking about in that essay how normal our lives look compared to those of a heterosexual couple. Yeah. I went through a normal Sunday. It was laundry and breakfast and Brandon playing his piano and I'm going to the movie and going to dinner and Netflix and then talking about our childhood. Yeah. Like people get so hung up on like this one thing that makes us different. Yeah. But when you press publish on stuff like that, you're worried that you're going to kick a hornet's nest.
And it is very easy to do. But this is what is fascinating with me with like coming at I always say to be open-minded means you accept the privilege where you are. You accept that you're a man who is comfortable in his skin, but you understand that there are other people with a different experience, and you're curious about that experience. You don't take anything away. You're saying everybody deserves to have a normal Sunday, whatever that normal is for you, and you understand there are people in this world that don't have that. And so I think that's the more important conversation, is that I can only come from here, but I am so interested in stepping beyond myself and doing that. And you mentioned vulnerability, and I think I would love to say we're similar in age. There might be a little gap. Just a small one, though. Just a tiny gap. But you talk about vulnerability. I want to know what you think of this. This is just off my head, which is I find I've been performing for 30 years. I am still, and I tell myself this every time, I am too sensitive. Every single time I do something, I'm too concerned with making it what I want to make it. I feel like that's a strength in creativity. That is, you haven't lost that I want this to be beautiful. I want it to be. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like there has to be a touch? You can't go too crazy, but there has to be some vulnerability all the way through until it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't know that the vulnerability ever ends, really. I mean, if you're pursuing something creative, you are opening yourself up in some form or fashion, even if it's, a review where I'm commenting on a film. Buried within those reviews is a piece of myself, and it is a piece of, my experiences before and after seeing that film.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to share my opinion knowing there are going to be people who absolutely agree with my opinion.
Right.
And there are going to be people who disagree and disagree
Yes.
passionately.
Yeah.
But I try to bring curiosity to everything, and I let that be the strength and let vulnerability be the guide. I've often said in job interviews, when they ask what's that thing that you like most about yourself, I say, I am passionately curious about everything around me. And I want to ask a lot of questions and deconstruct stuff.
And also, the difference, and I do, and sorry, AI, I'm coming for you. There is humanity in what you're doing because you're curious and you, like you said, you write a movie review, a piece of you is in that. That is something AI cannot offer you. They don't have that humanity. And I think that's why you're here 15 years doing the same work. That's why there's 15 years to come. And you're constantly evolving. And I think, but that's something, if we stop putting our humanity in our art, that's where we're really going down the wrong road. But let's talk about what it's like to be human. You have, as a lot of us do, you have a day job that is not just, you're not working, it's a full thing. Let's talk about balance.
Sure.
How do you do this and have a career?
Yeah, so I work a 40-hour-a-week job in affordable housing in Seattle. I'm also president of a Rotary Club and a Gay for Good Seattle and a bunch of other nonprofit volunteer work. I'm in a relationship. I have a book club. I've got all of this stuff.
I need a nap just now.
It is so important to me that even if it's just 30 minutes a day, that I carve out time to create or to interact with other creative people.
Why for your life is that time that because you have to put the effort in to have that 30 minutes a day. Why is that important to you? What is it in you that would lack if you didn't?
Because I know what my life looks like without creativity, and it is darker, and it is more depressed, and it is more angry, and it is outraged with nowhere to go. And if I don't have that, I know I'm not healthy.
Yeah.
So, again, going back to this thing, like I begin creating for myself first. I need to take whatever's happening out there in the real world, and I need to funnel it through and think about
Filter it and make it okay in your, yes, I get you.
It needs to go down on the page. It can be ugly and gross and it needs to be edited, but I need to get it there or I will not be healthy out there.
Yeah, I have friends who will always say to me, if it's obviously I'm going through a dark time, they're like, when was the last time you created something?
Yeah.
Because anytime I do an event or anything, it depletes. As it does, it takes all your energy. And then you tell yourself, never. You can never do this again. And the next day you're like, I can't live unless I do this again. But I want to talk about, as creatives, and many of you out there are creatives as well, especially if you follow things like this, there is an ebb and flow throughout life. Doesn't matter what it is. What keeps you going when it's, kind of seeping out, but you need it? How do you find it?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate that I have never experienced writer's block. I think there have been moments, there have been arcs when I think my writing is better than other times. I keep just working through those things. I think I'm coming off a period right now in my life where I've maybe quite possibly, here's that ego again, written some of the best stuff in my life, because I've hit that a peak of where I'm wrestling with a new thing, and this new thing is I'm middle-aged now, and what does that mean?
Right.
Stuff on my body hurts that didn't hurt yesterday.
And I did nothing to cause that to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I have friends who have passed away, and that is weird to have people your age who are no longer here. And I've needed to wrestle with that stuff. So I just cannot imagine my life without this. In fact, when I run into people who don't have a creative outlet, who aren't like pouring their energy into something else, and that can be anything. You can do woodworking, you can go hiking, you can work on your truck. It doesn't have to be setting down to a blank page and writing.
It doesn't have to look like someone else's, you know.
You just got to pour your energy into something else that is not yourself. And I think that may be a thing that is missing for lots of people in this world. I think that, and we've got to get back into community together.
Yes, we have to see each other.
Yes.
And we have been trained to not love that. And I think that has been through the years systematically taken away from us. And we have to find a way to do it again. And even if you only start with little pieces, right? You have to do it. A lot of conversation lately in my life has been centered around this phrase of impotent rage. And you spoke directly to that, which is a lot of people feel powerless and they're angry and they have no place to put it. But it's not because there isn't a place for you to put it. Like you were saying, it can be it can be creativity. It can be, maybe you're mechanical and you want to put things together. But I think step one to a healthy community again is to do something with that impotent rage. Because that, let's be honest, as we get older, that'll kill you. That will take you out.
We are in the midst of an epidemic of a lot of lonely white men sitting behind keyboards filled with rage.
Yes.
And I'm here to tell you the two greatest things to dismiss those feelings from your life are finding something to create and finding community. And I want to say find community. Don't go to a Klan rally, but like find people that are interested in the same things that you're interested in, and find a healthy outlet.
Exactly.
I think America would be a drastically different place.
And when you get to share things with someone and you find that spark of, I really get along with this person, there is a release of pressure that maybe you didn't know you could actually release that. And I think, you mentioned it, coming as a cis white male, I'm telling you, we are the most problematic piece of our society. And so it is important for everyone. But as a cis white male, I better not be causing more problems. And if I don't deal with my stuff, it's going to cause more problems.
Absolutely.
But so coming from the outside, I'll tell you what I view, and then you tell me what it is. I feel like as artists, very specific things in our life inform our work. You have had many specific points. I even think your very work with our unhoused community and this almost breaking down and deconstruction of society, I think that informs your work. But when you look at things, I know we're not always aware, but what would you say is informing your work and makes it important for you?
Yeah, so in my backpack, I carry around like a lot of things, but I carry around a little white notebook where I sort of capture ideas, and I carry around a red notebook where I'm sort of starting to jot those ideas out. And I think I sort of travel through this world as an observer, and I have an internal monologue that is going on constantly in my head, and I am constantly trying to make sense of this world. And I think one of my gifts, one of my talents is I can do that in a way that I can make sense of what I'm seeing and then tell you about it. And I can do that in a myriad of creative ways, but it is necessary for me. As you mentioned, I've spent since 2011 in some form or fashion working with people who are experiencing homelessness. It is heartbreaking work. When I was in LA, the same time you were in LA, I was working on Skid Row, which is like the epicenter of homelessness in the United States. Every day, walking those streets or on a bus, I would see scenes that would absolutely break your heart. And I could allow that to break my heart, or I could experience it, know that my work was doing something to try to make the lives of those individuals better, but also how do I take what I'm experiencing and sort of package it in a creative way where I hand it to a person who hasn't had those experiences, or look down on homeless people, and how do I change your mind? How do I sort of begin to pick that whatever heartbreak has happened in your own life that sort of forced this really negative reaction that you have to these individuals, like how do I begin to break through? And I've found that for me, the written word in other ways is the way to do that.
It's when I think about it, it's like, how do I connect your humanity to this humanity? To me, humanity is this theme of my life, of understanding that we have to see each other. And that's exactly what you're doing.
I have a moment that sticks with me forever while working on Skid Row, and I think it probably answers this question. Outside of our headquarters in downtown LA, there was this woman named Marlene. And Marlene was in her 60s. She'd been housed successfully, and she was having severe mental health issues, and she unhoused herself. And she was out on the street corner across from our building. And summer in LA is hot, so we in the building sort of adopted her. We were taking water and food and clean clothes and all this stuff out to her while she sort of waited to get into more housing. And one day I was out there visiting with Marlene, and Marlene had the back of a pizza box, and she had written names of people, and there were hundreds of names. And I said, Marlene, if you don't mind me asking, like, who are these people?
Right.
And she said, these are the names of everyone who has brought me something. Oh. And I pray for them every single night. And this is a woman who had nothing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I got to tell Marlene's story.
Yeah.
But I've also got to use my time, talent, treasure to tell her story and try to get people to think differently about this issue.
Yeah. And honestly, I think we all have a voice, and we all have a specific voice. And when you find it like you have, there's nothing more powerful than that. And I think that's amazing. And I'm a schmaltzy, emotional man, so I'm going to pull it together. What would you say the secret to your 15 years has been?
Consistency. Just, you hit on it earlier, and I think the case is probably the same for you. I carve out time to do this. It is built into sort of how I calendar my day.
Right.
And I talk about this backpack a lot. I've sort of built it to allow me to be creative wherever I'm at. And so carving out time and being really consistent are the things that have helped me make it this far. And those who started around the same time, they're not here any longer because they weren't consistent, or it didn't carry the same weight that it has carried for me.
And I think about because you're right, we work full-time jobs, and then there's these things we want to do, so you do it. I think consistency is simmered down to you do it even when you don't feel like you want to do it, because it's the long game. We have been taught to have attention span to our nose, but when you're an artist, you see the long game and you go, I'm tired today, and doesn't matter, I'm going to go do something that I enjoy doing, and I'm going to do it anyway. And that's consistency, and that's how you get through 15 years.
Well, there's been days where I've just been flat out exhausted and sit down at my keyboard and start clacking away at something, and finished it and stepped back and thought to myself, damn, that's really good.
Right?
And I'll take that feeling over exhaustion any day.
Exactly. There is a feeling of accomplishment that I don't think can be matched.
Yeah.
When that moment happens, whatever that moment is for you, that's where it is. Now, what I love about the Renaissance idea of you is it's not just one aspect, right? It's not, you have so many interests, but you find a way to put them under an umbrella of the same. Is there an art form or a piece that you haven't touched on, or that you want to touch on more?
Yeah, we were talking about this last night.
A little bit of drinky going on.
Vodka helps everything.
Exactly.
I think I have a book in me.
I hope you have a book in you.
I have started in the last couple of years sort of flirting with fictionalized short stories. And I've bought a couple books on like writing prompts and trying to like dream up worlds.
Right.
I do think I have a book in me. My mother and I have been working on sort of a long form essay trying to tell the life of my youngest brother. And I do think there is something there that could be told in a fictionalized way, because I don't think everything that's happened to us needs to be for public consumption. But I do think we could take that base of a story and fictionalize it and tell a broader story about mental health and suicidal ideation. And so that's in here somewhere. I often joke with Brandon that I need him to hurry up and become a doctor so I can retire at 45 and write the great American
You're
novel.
like, I need to be a kept man because I have stuff to do.
Yeah, I've got to write a book that 10,000 people will read.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, there's a book in you. Also, who wouldn't buy an audiobook from you? That's all I have to say. You have that voice for it. So write the book and then do it. Then you have 2 revenue streams.
Thanks for the voice, Mom and Dad.
To keep, I know, right? It works perfectly in there. And now I want to ask something that, so when we were talking about this interview and we were talking about exchanging ideas, you said a phrase that stayed with me, which is that you feel it is important to be out and loud in creative spaces. And that is such a specific and powerful sentence. Why?
Yeah, so the most popular essay ever on my website is called An Honest Post. I wrote it in a coffee shop in Pioneer Square, and it's me coming out to everyone who I had not come out to up to that point. And which was crazy about that essay is I published it 10 years ago when the Supreme Court decided that marriage equality was the law of the land.
Right.
And I pressed send on that essay, and I got in a car with a friend and we drove to the Washington coast and camped. And so I was like out of cell range for 3 days.
Perfect.
And so I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I couldn't have checked my phone if I wanted to.
Right.
And so when we get back around like Aberdeen or something, I open my phone and it is just an explosion of comments. And I got so many text messages and there were so many missed calls. And I would say 99% of them were positive. Now, of course, I could see that some people were unfriending and unfollowing me, and that's fine.
And good riddance, because that's noise in your life that you don't need.
But I learned something so valuable from that experience, which was on top of all of this, if you are not authentic, none of this will ring true.
Exactly.
And so when I write or share or review, authenticity is the most important thing. I'm not chasing perfection. You can go back and read lots of my stuff. I'm sure it is chock full of grammatical errors and all sorts of things, but it is authentic and it will always be authentic.
See, and I love that. And I love this idea about showing up to all spaces, but creative spaces in your own skin. Showing up fully who you are. I just watched an older interview a few years ago with Rosie O'Donnell and Susie Orman. And Susie said, I didn't know I wasn't out until New York Times person came and interviewed me, and she goes, and they asked me in a roundabout way, they said, are you heterosexual? They didn't ask, are you gay? Are you heterosexual? And she goes, no, who thinks I'm heterosexual? She goes, and it was in that moment I didn't realize that we live constantly checking ourselves. We live, even when we don't realize it, constantly making sure we're fitting in the space. What if you just show up in your creativity, in your life, as you are? And then the people who we talked about this last night, people who have a problem with certain things that go on, and you're like, well, then that thing's not for you. Yeah. So why do you need to be here? But it's showing up in your space as you are. There's power in that.
And it baffles my mind that people feel this like necessity to comment on things that aren't for them. Like, I just don't understand why. One, you're spending emotional energy to get wrapped up in things that you know are, one, going to make you mad or are not for you. Like, not everything in this world is for you. And I've got such a great example of this. After the Super Bowl, I was at a Rotary meeting, and I'm a Rotarian, but Rotary is mostly old white guys. And like some people were talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. And I thought Kendrick nailed it. But there were people,
oh, it was so divisive.
The people were sitting around me said, that was the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. And I said, you know why you didn't like it? And they were like, why? And I go, it was the first time in your life that you've experienced something that wasn't for you.
Yes.
It was for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Many of us think this guy is a poet and the voice of a generation, and he is an amazing writer and even more amazing performer.
Unapologetic.
And unapologetic. It wasn't for you, and that's okay.
Yes, and yet we think everything should be, and it's not, and it's okay. We're better that way. And this would be the great thing. So this is going to transition into a question that I'm going to ask that I feel like is a part 2 and 3 and 4 for this. But AI, let's talk AI for a minute. When you look at it as artists, when you look at AI and what it's doing, lots of people are super fans. As creative people, not as much. What does that ring fear in you in our future, or what is your thoughts?
I do think AI will be the first advancement in human history that causes more pain than it does good. I think we here in the United States have lived through a moment in history when everyone was freed. And then we lived through an industrial revolution, and then we lived through a revolution of women going to work and what that meant. And then we lived through computers being in everyone's home. And then we lived through like this .com explosion. This will be and every one of those moments created more prosperity, and it lifted more boats up. This will be the first time, and it's already happening, where people will lose jobs.
Yes.
It is really telling to me that the first things that AI comes for is human creativity. That it is writing, that it is creating photography, that it is creating movies. It is really telling to me, because that was the thing billionaires and technocrats could not control.
Yes.
You either have this talent, and it's a talent that you nurture, or you don't. And they don't have it, but they have figured out a way to make it happen.
Because you can just even look at, and it's been happening forever, but I look at the old studio system, and I think those are rich people, studios, trying to control the creativity of others because they didn't know how to do this. And now it's in their hands. Now they can take it away, which is why I think authentic humanity, using our voices, has to be important, because they're going to work even harder at making AI so good that your voice, they're trying to make your voice not matter.
Yes, and the other thing is, you just hit on it, authenticity, I think, will win the day. And I look at like, let's take the record player.
Yeah.
There has been like this resurgence of people buying vinyl records because they want to be closer to their music. They want to own it. They want to see it. They want to look at liner notes. They want to be with their music.
Yeah.
Streaming is such a passive experience.
Yeah.
I do think people will get to a point that they will crave authentic creativity. Yeah. And I think it is up to us now, those of us who are in the creative spaces, to remind people that when you come visit me, when you come to my website, when you watch my videos, when you listen to my voice, you are hearing authenticity.
Yeah.
You know, AI wrote none of this. AI will not write any of this.
Yeah.
I use it to like help me clean stuff up and you know, make sure I sound presentable, but it is not capturing my ideas and putting on a page.
Right. And honestly, knowing someone is knowing all the pieces, right? There is not this sterile environment, which is really what AI is, cultivating your image and making it one thing. I want to know a person. That's very much, and this is a conversation we definitely have to do a show on, which is this idea of AI, because I have the people in my life who are like, let it do everything. And then artistic people who I think understand the need. Now, as we wind down, I want to know, do you have any idea what's the next 15 years look like? Or what are some maybe loose thoughts about what it could be for you?
Yeah, I think, I'm always thinking of what like the next sort of content calendar is going to look like. I sort of live and die by that. Right. I'm always I have my eye on what people are interacting with and how do I sort of, one, give them a little bit more of what they want, but also do more things that I want to do as well. I can't deny that video is king at the moment. So how do I take what I've written and put it out in a visual format? I think it's super important to me. I want to continue exploring creative writing. I want to try to sort of craft narratives. And right now for me, that is sort of figuring out just how to tell a story. And I think the next level of that is like, how do you put in really great dialogue and start working through that. So I think there'll be some more creative stuff. There'll be more sort of long form essays that I think at some point in time will probably pull together.
Will weave itself
into a publication of some sort. So just taking the things that I'm really passionate about and trying to respond to things that I think get people excited, but also want to keep doing what gets me excited and what makes me happy. I think we're living in a really tumultuous time in American history, and I am fearful for the history or for the future of democracy. And so I've got to work through that for myself. I know I'm not alone in this fear. And I think I can be a resource for people as they work through these things. And again, they can find out that they're not alone.
Right. And I also think things like this are important. Things like conversations. I'm a big proponent of conversations. Can we talk to each other? We do a lot of that here. So watching this is a great way to do it. Also, so we're excited because you need to write a book. But can I give you another piece of gigantic homework that you should think about?
Okay.
Put it in there. I think it would be amazing if you wrote a film. We'll produce it and do whatever it takes. But I feel like of anyone that I think would write a really good screenplay for a really good film, it would be you. So everybody, send him a note. Say, we support the film thing as well. So you have to write a book and a film. Maybe we'll build a film on the book.
I like that idea.
We'll just do conglomeration. Listen, this is the problem with our friendship. We're always thinking. And I love that.
I love it.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this. You're going to get all my information in credits, but this is Nathan's show. This is Nathan. What an honor to know you. What an honor I love conversations with you. So I will say thank you and toss this over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, thank you for feeding my ego and allowing me on my own show to have someone come on and interview me about all the things that I've done in the last 15 years.
Everybody should do this in their life. I'm just saying, take it.
Maybe I'm learning something from the current administration. Narcissism is great. Just do everything that feeds your ego, and whoever it hurts, be damned. No, that's not my intention at all. But it's been an honor to have this conversation with you. You were the first person that sort of popped in my mind. I followed you around LA and watched you interview other people as well. Right. And I was like, well, if there's anyone that I think could do this justice, I thought of you. But I also just want to thank everyone that has been on this journey with me for the last 15 years. I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments when I thought, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I've you look at the numbers and, you know, less people are reading than ever before is what it feels like sometimes. But it is so important to me as long as there's still someone out there to sort of keep creating on both of our behalf. So I want to thank everyone that's been on this journey for me. This journey is not over. It will continue marching forward. At this point, I've written thousands of essays and reviews. There will be thousands and thousands more because it's so ingrained in me and who I am. So thank you for being here with us. Thanks for joining me for this conversation.
Loved every minute of it.
Spokane, thank you for having me in your lovely city. And until next time, be good to each other.